Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Welcome to the Author to Author podcast. I am your host, Pamela R Haynes, award-winning author of 2 books called Loving the Brothers and Loving the Sisters. I interview independently published and traditionally published authors from around the globe. The Author to Author podcast is available on 20 streaming platforms and 6 radio stations, namely East London Radio Mixcloud, Pamtango Radio, UK246.com, Chalk Hill Community Radio, LWR Talk Radio, and the Sounds of My Life radio stations. The podcast is sponsored by Dalgety Herbal Teas. Use the discount code A2AS6 for 10% off your next Dalgety tea order. In this week's episode, I have the pleasure of interviewing legend and now published author of his memoir entitled Stick to My Roots. I present Mr. Tippa Irie. Let's sashay into his episode now. See you on the other side. Good evening, Mr. Irie. I should have asked you how you would like to be addressed, actually, by Tippa Irie, Tippa Anthony. Irie. What do you prefer?
Tippa Irie is fine, or Tippa. Tippa is easiest. You don't need to say Irie, but Tippa. Okay. Tippa is fine, darling. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It is my privilege to have you opening up season 6 of my podcast, the Author to Author podcast, and I'm glad that you're headlining and opening for me today. How have you been?
I've been fine. I had a nice weekend. I had a relaxing weekend up in Birmingham with some friends. And then I've came back today. Now I've done my radio show today before I spoke to you. And the phone's ringing. Website is busy, shows are coming in, book coming out, hence why we're having this discussion. So things are I'm in a very good place. You know,
that's just absolutely wonderful. Yeah, and I'm hoping to get into all of that today because I follow you on social media as well. So I wanted to ask you about some of your activities that you've been up to. But thank you so much for gifting me I suppose it's an art copy, isn't it? An advanced copy reader for me to go through. And I've just started it, just received it, and I've just started it. So I'm on about page 11. So I know a little bit about you. But for my guests, tell me where you grew up and where you live now.
Well, I grew up in South London, in Dulwich. I was born in Dulwich Hospital in Southeast London. And we lived in Dulwich for a while. And then from Dulwich, we went to Helix Road, which is like Brixton Hill. And then from Brixton Hill, we went to Camberwell Green. Moved to Flaxburn Road, which is East Lake Road, right by Flaxburn Road, off of Cole Harbour Lane in Brixton. So that's where I prominently grew up in South London, Camberwell Green, Brixton region, SE5, SW9, that area. And I went to Brockwell Primary School in Towers Hill. I went to Loughborough Primary School, Loughborough Junction, you might as well call it Brixton, off of Cole Harbour Lane as well. So that's kind of where I went to school. Then from there, I went to Beaufoy School, which is in Kennington at the Oval, right by the Oval cricket ground. I went to school there. And then from there, obviously when I left school, it was building site for a while. And then music kind of took over my life. And then from there, it just carried on. So now I'm based in Streatham. Still in South London, based in Streatham. I have my studio here, but based between, Streatham and Jamaica. We have a family place in Jamaica. So a lot of the time when it's cold here, I try to get out there as much as I can. And then when it comes back warm and the festival season is happening and things are getting busy again, then I come back to the UK to do work. And then the minute I get a chance to run, I run out.
Well, I know that your parents hail from Trelawney in Jamaica. Have you officially lost count of how many times you've been to Jamaica now?
I wouldn't say I've lost count, but I've been quite a few times from a young man I think I was in my early teens when I first went actually to Jamaica. And then since then, because obviously my mum built this house and me and my sister are maintaining the property and carrying on her legacy, basically. I've been going every year. So maybe twice a year I'll go. But I like to
Wonderful.
go, yeah, I like to go to other places. Obviously my music takes me to other places, but I do like to go to, every so often. My manager lives in California. So sometimes I go there. And I like places in Europe and Africa, you know what I mean? So I'm always traveling on holidays and yeah, trying to keep myself active.
So, what is your favourite part of Jamaica? Your favourite part of the islands?
Well, it's got to be where we are. We are in like Ochi. So we're along that coast there. That I think it's North Coast, and you've got Ochi, Tower Isle, Baskerville, Ocean Ridge, all that kind of area there. White River. So from Ochi you have White River, and then from White River you have Tower Isle, and then Ocean Ridge, and then Baskerville, and then James Bond Beach. So that little stretch there, that's my favorite part of Jamaica because it's like my second home from home, you know. And it's cool around there, I feel, safe around there. The food, everything about Jamaica I love, but I feel good. The people them I kind of know, a lot of the people in the community, and I just, you just go about your everyday business, mind your own business, keep your head out of trouble, and you're nice out there. So I love to go.
So, describe for me what a perfect day in Jamaica is like.
Well, for me, normally I get up early and I will go for my morning walk, you know. So I'd walk around the scheme until I get tired, then come in, have a shower. Then I'd either make breakfast or I'd go down the street because breakfast in Jamaica is very cheap. So I can go down the hill, and there's two restaurants down at the bottom of the hill. One's in Ochi, one's just before you reach the Ochi. And I know I can go there and get a full ackee and saltfish, kalaloo, whatever soup you want, and it's cheap. So for me, I'd have my breakfast and then, either just go back, relax, or, I normally bring my studio with me. So I'll still be working, even though I'm on holiday, I'll still be in setting up the studio in the house and just basically voicing my tunes. Or if I've got a lot, I go there a lot when I want to write. When I want
Right.
to write my songs and stuff, that's where I get a lot of my inspiration because it's peaceful. It's peaceful. I'm looking at greenery. I've got, ackee and cassava, green banana, plantain, breadfruit. All these things are growing in my garden. So sometimes I just go out there and just chill, and then the lyrics seem to come when I'm sitting on the veranda. So that's my day. And then obviously, if there's an event going on, and somewhere, like I've seen Burner Boy, Popcorn, and Leela Ike recently, and then I saw
Yes.
Beres Hammond and Buju Banton. They did the intimate. Then I went to Rebel Salute out there, which is Tony Rebel's festival. I went to the Jamrock Cruise. Welcome to Jamrock Cruise, which is Damian Marley's boat cruise. So if there's something going on and I really want to go, then I will go. You know what I mean? But in a lot of the time, it's just breakfast, relax. If go in the evening, I'll go out to get a meal or we'll cook. So it's just depending on the mood. But Jamaica life is a blessing. It's paradise.
Oh, that's beautiful. Do you like going to the beach?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I would go. I would go. There's one that we go to. Normally, we go to a beach called Mahogany, and it's
Right.
in Ochi. It's nice. It's pretty cheap. They're charging to go on a lot of the beaches now. Right by me, there's a beach. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but me just call it the Rocky Beach because it's kind of rocky, and the fishermen them are down there scaling and selling fish and stuff
Right.
like that. But Mahogany Beach, you pay $500 and you get a bed and you can go there and relax. And people are coming in on the catamarans. A lot of the tourists them kind of go through there. But I like that beach because it's pretty safe and the food is nice and you get a reggae bed and everything. So yeah, it's good. So I do like the beach.
That's wonderful. So I know that you were born on the 7th of June, 1965. And the
Yeah.
reason why I remember the date because you share a birthday with my younger sister. So that
Oh
stuck
wow.
straight away. So you're both
Yeah.
Geminis.
Gemini.
But tell
Yeah.
me, where are you in the family? Are you the youngest, the
I'm
eldest?
I'm the middle son. I have an elder sister, and I then came me, and then my younger sister, Miss Irie. Yeah, and I have a half brother called Kenny who lives in New York.
Yeah, I read the dedication. So you dedicated your book, obviously, to your parents, to your sister, Miss Irie, and your children and your granddaughter as well. So I
Yeah.
caught that. But tell me,
Yeah.
what kind of music did you grow up listening to as a child? What was played in the household?
Well, it's traditional, Jamaican music, but also we had like Duke, Jim Reeves, and all of those kind of old country and western songs. And then obviously we had U Roy. U Roy was the one that kind of stuck out for me. So the tunes like "Wake the Town and Tell the People," and so I kind of grew closer to Dennis Al Capone, Big U, Trinity, Dillinger, Tapazuki, I Roy, all of the old school MCs. Then it was Brigadier Jerry, Charlie Chaplin, Josie Wells. And then in the later stages, it was Papa San, Lieutenant Stitchie, and Professor Nuts. But my dad used to play Gregory Isaac, Dennis Brown, obviously Bob Marley, Culture, Abyssinians, Burning Spear, all of the classic Fredlocks, all of the classic traditional music from the Caribbean. But then obviously you had Millie Spall, My Boy Lollipop, all these kind of tunes that were playing, plus the country and Western tunes, you know. So that's what I was basically listening to. And listening to you, Roy, that's what made me really want to become an MC.
That was my next question. What
Yeah.
inspired you to move into the music area? I mean, were you sporty before? Were you into your
No,
academics?
no, my dad was a sound man. The name of his sound
Right.
was Musical Messiah. So we had when we moved to Camberwell Green, my dad had a greengrocers, and we lived on top of the greengrocer. And then in the basement, my dad had two rooms, and he turned those rooms into shubins. So every Friday and Saturday,
Oh,
there would be
wow.
a there would be a dance happening downstairs in the house. And so my dad, he used to play his sound system. So I used to just go and listen to him play his sound, watch him playing his sound. And then, from there, I kind of just like just gravitated to you, Roy, and Big Youth and these guys. And they really made me want to get into the music. But also my dad used to rent out the basement to bands. So
Okay.
there were bands like The Real Thing, You to Me Are Everything, sweetest song that
Yes.
I can sing. Yeah, them guys used to rehearse in my dad's basement. And so I was just growing up around the music. I used to sit there and watch these guys play their instruments. And then on Friday and Saturday, my dad would be playing the sound system. So it was just a natural progression for me to get into the music. And then I started to realize that I was actually getting good, and people were saying to me that I need to get out there and go and MC on different sounds so that people can see me.
And was it just you, or was your brother and sister into music as well?
Yeah, my sister is like a gospel singer, and she was part of a group. My big sister, she was part of a group called Metropolis. And they made a few singles, and she was the lead singer for that. And she also does backing vocals for me when I do my live show. with the band. And then obviously my younger sister that passed away, Avril, she was an MC. Miss Irie, she used to DJ with me on Saxon Sound. And I used to, write her lyrics, help her with her lyrics then. So she was an MC as well. We've actually done a couple of songs together, which have been released. So my mom said she didn't realize that she would have such a musical children, but it turned out that all of us were very musical.
When you're starting off, is it the music that comes first or is it the lyrics?
It depends. It depends. Sometimes a lyric might come to you, and then you just write, a chord. You just write the song, and then I would write the song and learn it, and then sometimes somebody might send me a beat, and I would adapt the song to the beat. Sometimes a producer might send me a track, and they might have an offer for me to voice the track, and then I would write according to the track. A lot of the times, if I don't feel something pretty soon, then I tend to pass on that tune because it means I'm not really feeling it. So I find when I feel a tune, the lyrics come pretty easy for me, you know. But it's just depending. Sometimes the rhythm comes first and then you write. Sometimes you write and then you adapt to the rhythm.
Okay, I suppose it's the same like writing, isn't it? When you write a book, some people have the title and then they write,
So,
and some people write and
and
then
then
the title
the
comes
title
much
comes.
later on. So yeah,
Yeah.
so I could imagine that. I've just started the book, but you did mention the very first time that you experienced racism. Can you tell
Yeah.
us how old you were and what happened?
Yeah, I was about I'd say around 5 or 6. And me and my mum was coming. She must have picked me up from one of my aunts and took me to the bus stop. And we were standing at the bus stop and waiting to get on the bus. Then the bus came, and then me and my mum got on this bus, and there was this white lady there, and she, we came on and we stand up, and she just pushed my mum. So my mum, just asked her, "What you doing?" She goes, "Oh, shut up, you black bastard," you know. And that's all she had to say. So by the time the words come out of her mouth, my mum's hand was in her face. She slapped them. Let's say she slapped them right back in her mouth, and then the next. So there was a scuffle, obviously, but obviously I was with my mum. I was very young. So she just said, "Look, Tony, come on. Next stop, we're getting off the bus because I don't want to stay on the bus with this woman." So basically, the very next stop, we just got off and just basically waited for another bus to come. But the woman was, blatantly racist, you know what I mean? And she showed that in her actions. And that's why my mom kind of had to put her in her place. And she did. So, that was kind of like my first real kind of touch of, racism.
Oh, yeah, almost like a baptism of fire when you're that young as well. To
Yeah.
a range of emotions is probably happening, including confusion as to what's really going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, because it's like obviously you're young and all you're worried about your mum, and obviously the situation's escalating because of obviously my mum wasn't taking what she was dishing out. It's not going to be easy for my mum and it's not going to be easy for me. So that's why we just next stop we just got off of the bus to to some peace, if you like.
Again, thank you for gifting me the proof. I fell in love
Okay.
with the cover as soon as I
Yes.
saw it and reached out to Jacaranda saying that I had to interview you, and they were on board. But why write an autobiography now at this point? Why now and not in 5 years' time, for example?
Well, it just seemed, I'm celebrating like 40 years in the music industry. So I just thought that it would be the perfect time to come with the book. I think it took us maybe about a couple of years, and I've got like, a lot of people that's contributed to it, friends that have helped me out, you know. But I just thought it was the right time to do it now to celebrate my 40 years in the music industry.
And how easy has it been to write the book?
Not
What
easy.
were the challenges?
Well, it's just gathering information and then remembering, trying to relive your life, you know what I mean? And then obviously, it's not everything you're going to remember, not everything you're going to get right, but you can only do your best and try to bring it to the page as the best as you can. I mean, it's my first ever time doing something like this, so I'm a virgin, you know? So for me, it's a lot of feeling my way. Obviously, I wrote it with my friend Mark, um, and he helped me. He helped me with it, So for me, it was just challenging, trying to get all of the information, trying to remember all of the information, and then tracking down my friends, people like Maxi Priest, Janet Kay,
Yes.
thankfully they've kind of put their story within the book also. So it's kind of like, that was, not difficult because a bit of it was through lockdown. So they wasn't out and so busy as they normally are. So it was good that we had that opportunity. We used that lockdown opportunity to kind of track them down and get some information about them actually working with me and their relationship with me and over the years. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, the book is nearly complete, isn't it? What
Yeah,
date do you have? When is the book coming out?
it's coming out the 23rd of August. So it's completed. The final edits went in and the final pictures have been chosen now. So on the 23rd of August, the book will be available for people to buy. But of course, they can go to Rough Trade and pre-order from there. And they can also go to the publishers, which is Jacaranda, and pre-order the book directly from them.
Can we talk a little bit more about your career? What would you say was one of the highlights when you thought, well, you know what, I'm on my way now. I've made it.
Well, being on Top of the Pops in 1986, that was my first, that's one of my, I mean, being on the sound system and seeing the success of coming from my dad's blues to local sound system, then moving on to a big sound system called King Tubby's. That was a proud moment for me because it's like a steady rise. And then leaving from King Tubby's and moving on to Saxon, which was about this. There was a sound systems were about at the same level, but because Saxon, we had so much talent around one sound system, it took it to another level, And then from sound system, bringing it on to recording, because if you think of Maxi Priest, Papa Levi, Smiley Culture, Tippa Irie, all of these Roger Robin, all of these artists came from, Saxon Sound. I used to work, a lot with the sound system. So that was a proud thing too. And then actually, leaving from the sound system and then going into recording records and then actually having a hit tune, a number one tune, which then went into the pop charts, and then had the opportunity to go on Top of the Pops. So that was another proud moment for me and my mom, you know what I mean? And then obviously throughout the career, it's just risen. I've just risen and just, I've had about 5 or 6 number one tunes in the reggae charts, a couple of tunes in the pop charts. I've been nominated for a Grammy, So it's kind of just risen steadily, which I like because there's a balance, because there's times when you're going to be up, times when you're going to be down, but you've got that balance so I can survive and still be comfortable. You know what I'm saying? But it's a steady rise. But I did Glastonbury with Black Eyed Peas, and that we went on just before Paul McCartney, and there was like about 60,000 people there on the main stage. So I think that's like my highlight when it comes to like shows. Was touring with the Black Eyed Peas was nice because we supported Britney Spears and Mary J. Blige, and we did Paul McCartney and a few other huge shows. So there's been a lot of proud moments for me in my 40 years.
Yes, I do remember the Top of the Pops. And
Okay.
feeling very proud. You know, it's one of those ones where you're allowed to use the house phone to call people to tell them to watch,
Yes. Yeah.
because there was a black, representation,
Yeah.
on
And
the
that wasn't
television.
and that wasn't very often.
No, you are the king of collaboration, I would say, because you've collaborated with so many people, including
Yeah.
General Levy on BBC One Extra.
Yeah.
If you could go back, or if you're looking ahead at future artists, who would you like to collaborate with?
That's a good question. There's an artist called Assassin, Agent Sasco in Jamaica. I'd like to do a tune with him. Um, there's also people like, in the hip hop world, it would be nice to do a tune with Dr. Dre, for him to produce a track for me to write a song to. That would be something that would be amazing. And Pharrell as well. It'd be nice to work with those kind of caliber of producers. And I'd like to work with Sly, Sly Dunbar. I know Robbie's gone now, but I would like to
Yeah.
do some work with Sly and Dave Kelly as well. Sting International, who done a lot of Shaggy's earlier work. I'd like to work with
Yes.
him as well. And at the moment, I'm doing an album with King Jammies. So I'm started to work on that now. So that is another proud moment for me because Jammies is somebody that I look up to and I respect as a producer. So for him to ask me to do an album, it's really a blessing. So yeah, those are the few, I'd like to
All
work with if
right.
possible.
Well, I am a fan of Agent Sasco as
Sasko,
well.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
very,
yeah,
very
winning
good
right
artist.
now has been my
Yes,
anthem throughout the whole year, really. So it's
yeah,
nice to hear you
yeah,
mention his name
yeah,
as well. I would say that from observing your career and someone being on the outside looking in, it's like you've had a revival in recent years as well.
yeah, yeah,
Like very similar to General Levy, the BBC One
yeah,
Extra thing.
yeah,
You are now reaching another generation of people, young
yeah,
people who didn't know
yeah.
you. How have you been received at all of these festivals up and down the country that I see you doing?
Yeah, yeah, very good. Very, very, very good. The people them because it's like a mixture crowd, so you have people that's my age group that know the songs and know me and know of me. And then, you have the younger generation that's just into the jungle and into to dub, into roots music. You have sounds like Iration Steppers, Channel One, Abashanti, who play a lot of heavy roots music like Shaka, God rest his soul. You know what I mean? And there's prominently young white kids that are getting into the music and that supporting the music. And it's the same with General in the jungle circuit. If it was our people or people of our age group was coming to his shows it wouldn't happen because obviously people got they got other responsibilities. They can't just go out every Friday and Saturday. So, but the younger kids, it's their time, and they've cottoned on to the music because it's timeless. So he's having the younger kids them coming to his show, and that's what's keeping him out every Friday and Saturday. And it's the same with me. So my shows vary. I like cabaret shows with comedians and
Right.
stuff like that. I like them kind of shows because everybody that's come there, they come for the show. So the focus is on you. When you play in the club, sometimes somebody might be there and they probably don't want to hear a live act. They just probably want to hear music or the latest music or whatever. So it can be difficult in that situation unless the event is Tippa Irie in concert where everybody that comes through the door is coming to see you. You know what I'm saying? So it varies because sometimes if you go to a festival, it might be just pure young kids there and they want to hear the latest music, what they hear on the radio, and they don't know your music. So you have to try to, involve them, try to get them around to, even though you haven't heard this before, take a listen. You know what I mean? So it's just experience really and knowing how to judge your audience, knowing when to come on and knowing when to get off. You know what I mean?
Right. What exciting things do you have coming up?
I'm going to be doing Notting Hill Carnival on at the end of August.
Yes.
My book comes out on the 23rd of August. So there's a lot going on, you know.
Are you having a book launch?
Yeah, I will do. I think that's going to be in August also. I think it's maybe the 24th or 25th or something like that of August. And then on the 9th of September, I'm playing at the Holiday Inn in Birmingham. So they can go to my website, tippairie.com, for more information in regarding to all of the gigs and where I'm playing throughout the year. In October, I have a few. I'm in Dumfries, in Scotland for the Scalloween. And then on the 28th of October, I'm in Nottingham at the Black Achievers Awards in Nottingham on the 28th of October. In the 8th of December, I'm in France with a sound system called Stand High Patrol, and that's on the 8th of December. So I got quite a few shows.
It's just fantastic, though, isn't it? Keeping you nice and busy
Yes,
and
yes,
doing
yes.
what you love as well. So,
I'm telling you, I'm
what's better
really
than that?
grateful. I'm really grateful, really grateful. You know, really grateful. I'm blessed. So I give thanks every day.
Just one final question. Where did the title for the book come from?
Well, you know what? We was mulling around with a lot of different titles, like "It's Good to Have the Feeling You're the Best." Was wondering if I should just call it "Hello, Darling" after my biggest tune. We was, you know, but we just stick to my roots is actually a title track of one of my albums, and I just thought because it's speaking about my parents' childhood, my childhood, and all of the people them that partake in the book. So we thought it'd be a good title to just call it "Stick to My Roots" because it's basically talking about my roots and culture because we speak on, you know, a lot of different topics, you know, and a lot of different events like New Cross Fire, the Mongrels in Labrook Grove, obviously where my parents come from, what they went through coming to the UK and growing up in Jamaica and leaving basically Jamaica to come to England for a better life, so-called better life, you know what I'm saying? So it covers a wide, you know, range of topics. All right. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Well, thank you so much for your time. And
bless
thank you
you.
for participating in the Author to Author podcast. And I wish you all the very best in the future.
Take care, darling.
I hope you enjoyed listening to my interview with Tippa Irie. What a gentleman. It's competition time now. For your chance to win a copy of Tippa's autobiography, Stick to My Roots, please answer the following question. How many years is Tippa celebrating in the music industry? Taking part couldn't be easier. Contact me on Instagram at Loving the Author with the correct answer by this Friday at 5 p.m. BST. Good luck, be safe, and bye for now.